What's up, everyone? So today here I want to talk about aerospace and defense stocks. Now I know in my last videos I've sounded kind of plain, but I'm gonna try to sound more upbeat and try to keep you guys interested. So I know here on the left you see that I have Tesla, Boeing, Triumph, ITA, DFEN, and ROKT, and I'm going to be talking about aerospace and defense. And first thing you'll notice is that Tesla isn't aerospace and defense, but what it does have in common with aerospace and defense is Elon Musk through SpaceX. Now I know that over the last week people have been buying into Tesla, and then you'll see in the comments that they're talking about how Tesla isn't related to SpaceX, but in a way Elon Musk is CEO, so it is related to SpaceX. And even though it may not have a direct impact like on how they function, a quick simple Google search that I did was that how does SpaceX use Tesla? Simply they could possibly be using their products. And here it just shows me that SpaceX purchased over 500,000 in parts in 2019, and then in the beginning of 2020 through April they purchased another 500,000 from Tesla. So SpaceX is using Tesla. And another thing that notes here is that SpaceX has also been using Tesla electric motors on some of its vehicles. So it may not be a great use, but they are, in a way, Tesla is related to SpaceX other than the products. They also have Elon Musk as a relating factor. Now you'll see that here on their chart, I believe here, if we look at their chart, sorry, let me just go back to a month. No, it's too far back. Here in the last 5 days, we'll see that they spike up pretty good right here. This is last Friday, and as of last Friday over the weekend, I think it was announced, or maybe it was after hours on Friday, they announced that they're starting their production, or they're going to resume working at the Alameda factory over there in San Francisco, or in California, in that area. And from that, they jumped a good amount, about a $20 jump, and from there they just came down a bit. So on Monday it was like a small sell-off, and of course it just kept going. But from here, this is Wednesday when it was announced that, or I mean it's been known, but when it was going to be the launch. It's Wednesday, I believe, like around 4:22. It's the middle of the day. Once the launch was postponed due to bad weather, it had a pretty good sell-off, and then from there, of course, people buying the dip, it just came back up. Now, once we knew that it was going to be set for Saturday in the morning, there was more people buying back in, and somewhere around Friday in the morning, I put in a buy for a share just to ride the news. They're pretty pricey, but for the news and what's going on, they seemed like a pretty good play. Now, from Friday morning, I think once the market opened, I believe it was started off like at 8:05, but it seems like it bounced to, or dipped down to 8:03. Check it out, 8:03, and then for the rest of the day it just slowly kept climbing up until the end of the day it just finished off strong. Now, of course, if you've been watching, they are using Tesla. You'll see that they move with the news of SpaceX because of Elon Musk and their relation. Now, this may not make too much sense, but if Elon Musk is the CEO of Tesla, people will find more pride, I guess, or really buy into Tesla, because it's more, the way I kind of see it, it's more they're investing into Elon Musk than they are Tesla. Of course, Tesla's great, but at this point, the relation I see is that they're buying into Elon Musk and his success. So this is the run up I see, and this is the way I justify this run up. Now, this Saturday, if you were watching, you saw what happened. It was a successful launch, and I believe this morning, I can't remember the time. It was something around 7 a.m., 7:15 a.m. my time over here, Pacific time. They the Crew Dragon connected with the ISS, and I believe on Monday morning we will see a pretty good rally. I can't really say what price, but if I had to guess, I'd say close to 900. And if we don't see that, then I think we'll at least see a pretty good run up. Now, you'll see that on the left here, I have Boeing. If you see that right here in the middle of the week, it was also, to me, it looks like they were also writing off the launch news. They had a pretty, I know that the week before last week, they had a pretty good dip, and if you bought in anywhere below 120, you're pretty happy right now, and it looks like it's going to be stable for a bit, especially off of airlines moving up, and then with this launch being successful, even though they weren't specifically related to it, because it's a aerospace and defense kind of stock, it'll move with it. Now, you can tell that last week, in the beginning of the week, it had this jump right here, and then sometime in the middle of the day, of course, the launch got postponed, and you'll see that it moved right with it, didn't hesitate, and then people bought back in, and this huge jump right here you see was because they announced that they're going to resume their 737 production, and off of that it climbed, but then you'll see another sell-off. Now, at the end of the week on Friday, you'll see that people bought back in. My take is that they bought back in because of the launch. It's just big money buying into stocks right now, and it's not that crazy of a run up, but it moves with the news. It moves with the market, and you'll see the same with TGI. Now, TGI is not directly related to SpaceX or the news. In fact, when the news dropped that the launch was going to be postponed, it actually didn't move with it. It kept climbing. There's more buyers. If anything, I feel like people had FOMO and just started buying in. And then, of course, after enough, you bought in anywhere over here, and if you sold anywhere here, then you're happy. But I feel like this is just a sell-off. And then again, just like Boeing, at the end of the week, it had a pretty good dip until I believe like the last hour, the power hour. It started to rise. I was watching this before it even hit these highs, close to like 11. And I was getting some FOMO, but I didn't buy in. I was going to wait to see, because usually when something runs up like this, you'll see it dip back down. So I was waiting, and I'm glad I did, because I didn't plan this, or this wasn't like strategic move. This is more of it just happened to be the right time. And on Friday, it kept on going down, even though some of the other stocks were rising. This kept going down, and I started to buy in below 750. I believe I got like 10. I believe I made TGI about 10% of my portfolio. I started buying in below 750, and then once it got down to, I believe, 720, I just bought in a little heavier, and I got really lucky, because I believe they hit 716. So that wasn't me being like using my skills. That was me just really playing my chances here. Now, of course, it can keep on coming down, but I really feel like because of the recent news, it'll climb with the rest of the aerospace and defense stocks. So I'm glad I jumped in that, and also got a option call for a $10 strike, which cost me I think $50. It expires in July, so I'll be holding that until I get a pretty good profit off of that. Seeing that they've been down for a while, and up until this last month, it started to pick up volume towards this last week actually. So you'll see, it climbed a pretty good percent, plus 11%. Now, I plan to hold this one for a while, especially after this launch being successful. I know they're not directly involved, but they are an aerospace and defense stock. They do provide services for them, as in, let me see, actually, I can get into details but I'd have to go to another page. For now, I'll stick to this, and maybe in another video I'll kind of describe what they really provide. But for now, yeah, this is for me. I feel like this is a good entry point, and hopefully, with the news that has been circulating, it'll move up with everything else. Now, people have been talking about ITA, DFEN, and ROKT. Now, if you're interested in any of those, I really recommend you take a look at their asset location. Now, I use Webull to read into this. Pretty much, if you search up one of these ETFs, you go to the bottom right, and you'll see asset location. Now, it's important you do this before you invest into one because they do move slow. But once all these aerospace and defense stocks start moving up, you'll see the volume move. Pretty much, you go to asset location, you'll look right here on the right. You'll see their weight and the percentage of how much that ETF holds. Now you'll have Lockheed, Raytheon, Boeing, Teledyne, General Dynamics, Transdigm. I can't even read that properly. And then Northrop Grumman. I used to actually go there when I worked in California. I used to go to their location, and they were building 2 new buildings for some. I probably shouldn't talk about this, but they're building 2 new buildings for the aerospace drones, and they're huge. They've grown so much that if I was investing at the time that I saw this, I would have got a pretty good percentage of them. But as of now, I'm just gonna hold on for a little bit. But even then, they're still a good investment right now, especially with all the news that's going on about the successful launch. And then you got LHX. Yeah, so that's what ITA is built up of. And then I actually have a DFEN. I have some of this ETF. Same thing. If you go down to the right, you'll see the asset location. And they're mainly built up of Boeing. Now, the reason I got DFEN was because of Boeing still being in their pretty lows. So I know they hit mid 90s, and as almost a week ago, they're about 115. I didn't buy those dips because they still look like they're pretty hurt, which they still are. No one's recovered as quick as the tech stocks, but as of now, the DFEN, I like them because Boeing is starting to move. Of course, it can dip, but they're starting to move, and their percentage is 15%. And it's built up of the same aerospace and defense stocks that ITA has, but it has a pretty good percentage of Boeing. Now, if you look, if you go down the list, you'll see how much it has in each one compared to ITA. And from there, you can just pick what you're comfortable with. Same deal. Just go down the list and you'll understand. Now, ROKT, same deal. You'll go to the asset location, and if you look on the bottom, you'll see their weight percentage. Now, this looks like it's more spread out, unlike the other 2 that are heavily made up of a few stocks, and then there will be a smaller percentage in the others. And yeah, that's pretty much what I wanted to get into in this video, was the news about SpaceX being successful, and pretty much how Tesla is slightly involved, related to Elon Musk, and some of the products that they use from Tesla. Boeing, same deal. Aerospace, they moved with the news, and they started the 737 production, so you'll see them move. TGI, same deal. I feel like they're pretty beaten down. Just to show you a little bit more about them, they've been down for like 2 months. Now, if you go back a year, you'll see that their highs were relatively around... Oh, snaps. All right, here we go. So their highs were relatively around 24. You'll see that it goes like almost to 30. But even before this is what I like. If the space programs here in the U.S. get going, I know they've been working, but the talk is that since 2011, it's been mainly focused of sending American astronauts to Russia to launch with them for like $80 million a seat. But if we're bringing space travel back to U.S., then I feel like these other stocks or these other companies should really benefit from that. I should really look into why they've been dropping ever since. But for now, this is what I see, that if you look on the like right in the top middle of the screen, you'll see that price fluctuate from like the $50. Of course, something had to happen. Could be like loss of a contract or deal. I'll look more into that. Maybe I'll bring it up in another video. But they started from $50. Here, I'll move this slower. I've kind of been moving too quick on this. Yeah, they started like right around $50 about 5 years ago, or $60, and then they've been going down. Could have been like a lost contract, a bad deal. Could have been production, but they've ranged around the $15 to $20 range. But if you go back even further, they've had a pretty good run up. So if anything, this is the price they're at right now. The 750. They're still pretty close to the lows. Even if you bought the March dip, $3.40. That would have been a great pickup. But yeah, so TGI, I like them. ITA, take a look into the asset location. Same with DFEN, take a look into the asset location, and ROKT, take another look. You'll see what you like, and then start there. But then again, people really don't, I guess, say ETF stocks are good to invest into because they're slow. But if you look back a year, they're not even halfway up. They're not half of what the ETF doesn't represent half of its value yet. $39 compared to oh, actually no, I'll take that back. They're about a little bit past half the value that they used to be. So they're slow movers, but with aerospace and defense starting to move again, they're still at a pretty good buy point. And the thing is that if you don't really want to take a risk with individual stocks, you'll see your share value fluctuate a lot more. But if you jump into an ETF, it's a little bit more secure. It's a lot more stable. You'll see that if one stock takes a hit, it won't really affect it all that too much, depending on the percentage it's holding, because the other ones will hold it up. So it's a safe play. But yeah, go ahead and take a look at the asset allocation for each one and take your pick. And that's what I have for today. So this is all pretty much insight of each of these stocks, and this is not financial advice. I do not recommend you trade or buy any of these stocks. Please do this on your own. This is more information on what you've already seen or heard. I just want to get into some detail and show you the charts with it. So please be careful what you invest into. And thanks for tuning in. I'll see you guys on the next one. Thanks.